Hey everyone, Rob from Southgate Media Group here. Before we get started with this podcast, we have a quick message. If this is your first time checking out the show, we love that you found us and we really hope you enjoy it. What we have to say is for the subscribers. If you enjoy our shows, would you please donate to help keep these going? We don't want to have to put traditional ads on these shows, but this does cost money. So we really do rely heavily on donations. To make a donation to the show, please go to our website, www.southgatemediagroup.com. Go to the page for the show, and in the upper right-hand corner is a donate button. It takes you right to PayPal, and you can donate whatever amount you want. Thanks a lot for listening, everybody. And now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to SuperConnectivity. I'm host, the Chisel, Burley Esser. And with me as always...
I am the Platonic Phil.
Platonic, very intellectual of you. You are the ideal of Phil. So, Phil, the Platonic Phil, let's talk about... Well, you know what? Let's talk about Agent Carter. Let's open up with that before we get into some comic book stuff. How cool was it that we have the hypnotist doctor clearly playing the SSR? Or did you find that problematic for you?
I don't know. I mean, it could go to a good place, but it just seems like, I don't know, they should see it coming.
Well, yeah. Well, I saw it coming last week, you know.
Yeah.
I said, is it any wonder these guys got infiltrated? Because they're just too dang trusting of these like evil scientists, you know.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what it is? Because these guys are the jocks, and they see the threat of the nerds. They don't see the threat of an Arnim Zola, because they're tough guys, you know. They're the rootin' tootin', hard punching, you know, Dooley and Thompson. Maybe even Howard Stark, not really realizing that other scientists maybe aren't as cool as him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But here we have, and this guy is clearly, you know, he's not the head of Leviathan, we know that, but he's 100% in there, and he's talking with Adi and doing the whole, you know, and you know what, I knew something was up with that, because as you're watching it, you can see she's aiming very wide on him, because when she first puts the bead on him, it's like at his shoulder. I'm like, she's a trained sniper. She's not going to shoot him in the shoulder. Or if she shoots him in the shoulder, that's intentional, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, he gives her the message, you know, got to kill Carter, yada, yada, yada. And then, you know, has the other guy walk into traffic. Perfect Faustus move. I hope this is Faustus's dad. I hope at the end of the day, they give him, we're going to keep you around, and we're going to give you the code name Faustus. It's like, okay, buddy, Amerikansky, I'm your bestest friend, you know? Because
Yeah, I was kind of figuring out if that was Faustus or not.
yeah, well, I mean, who knows? It could be the Faustus version here, but yeah, and one thing I love, because this gets you into that very comic booky place with how powerful hypnosis is, because it is just this. It is like the closest thing you get to magic in comic books when they're not actually doing magic. Because it's like, oh, hypnosis. I can just wave my hands. I can gesture hypnotically, as Mandrake used to do. And suddenly you are within my power. And, you know, although they did that great thing where, you know, they show, okay, he can't make, what was the agent's name? Yao. Can't make Yao, like, betray them. He can't let Yao, won't take him to the armory. But Yao will walk into a truck for him, because just don't look both ways before crossing the street. That's something he'll do, you know. And so there were limits to it, but not as many as you think. So that was pretty cool. I like seeing the hypnosis used as that super magic power, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, it goes into that fantasy world, and it's that fantasy that's just close enough to reality that makes it both scary and exciting.
Yes.
Uh,
So what do you think of Peggy Carter on the run.
Well, I think that's great. It's every we've got two episodes left. Always got to, she had to be on the run at some point because that's the arc. You got to be on the outs. You can't triumph unless you're the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're just sitting in the office all day, moving 10 steps ahead, that's what supervillains do. But if you're on the run and you're desperate, fighting a good fight, that's what a hero does. So, I'm glad to have her on the run. I'm looking forward to seeing the big showdown between her and Dottie. That's going to be pretty awesome. And it's very cool. It's very cool where we're at right now. And my hope is that that they renew Agent Carter, that they bring Agent Carter back next season in her own actual season, because I think that's where this story should go, because there's so much tale to tell, and we're not going to resolve it. We're not going to wrap it up. And I get the feeling they're intentionally going to leave all sorts of stuff out there at the end of this, stuff that'll tie into Avengers and tie into other things that will make you go, oh, wow, this is pretty cool,
So you think this will be a yearly thing then?
Well, like I said, my hope is that actually next season it's its own show. Mm-hmm. So maybe doing like a Carter Agents Power, 2 hours, just do a 2 hour on Tuesday, Carter at 8 and Agents at 9 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
I would be all about that. Who among us wouldn't be? Let's face it. And so that was Carter this week. That was pretty awesome.
What was that?
That was Agent Carter this week, and that was pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah.
One thing that was me recently, because I was thinking, just to completely jam the car into reverse here, there's all this talk about, the end of the Marvel Universe and, how all the books are ending, and they're going to come with these new replacement books, and all based in this Battle World concept. And do you know what struck me about that?
What is that?
This is exactly what they did for Marvel, DC, and Amalgam. I mean, exactly. In Marvel, DC, you had all this stuff leading up, all infiltrating into the main books, and then all the books stopped. All the books stopped, and they just put out the Amalgam books. So you had the Amalgam Universe books for, I think, a month or 2 months. And then everything got put back to where it was. And it strikes me, it's like so much that seems to be where they're going with this. That it's like, oh, this is the amalgam. They're going to amalgam themselves. They're going to amalgam all of Marvel for like 2 months or 3 months or however many months they want to amalgamate. And then it's all going to just get put right back. Because they've done it before, and it just really strikes me that, because, that's the thing. It feels like, they're going to make it look a lot more like the MCU. But, to me, it all looks like the MCU. And if it is, Marvel, first off, people will either say, oh, it's going to be a reboot, or Marvel doesn't do reboots. And at the end of the day, Marvel is constantly rebooting, constantly retconning characters and histories. They just don't do it in one big event. And that's what I'll say is the difference between Marvel and DC, is Marvel does all its retcons as you're reading it. So just all of a sudden someone says, oh, actually what happened was this, or actually that was only this time, or we actually are going to change our history just a little bit in this issue when we say it aloud. As opposed to saying, okay, now the entire universe is going to collapse, and now we're going to just reimagine the universe coming back into existence. So, I'm more convinced than ever now, after realizing that they pulled this exact same stunt with Marvel, DC, and Amalgam, where everything ended. Now, the difference with Amalgam was that everyone just assumed, well, they're not going to leave it as Amalgam, because these are two separate companies. They're not going to be able to do it. But here, Marvel gives you that suspension that, oh, maybe they're just going to leave it like this. But if you think about it, obviously, no. They're not going to destroy every single one of their profit-making books just for a story,
Yeah, I think you just want the Amalgam universe back.
I do want the Amalgam universe. It was a good universe, man. And it doesn't get enough play. And I'm not the only. There's a lot of folks out there that love the Amalgam universe.
Oh yeah,
plenty of us, because it was ultimate. It was the ultimate fan service, and in many ways it was the ultimate for writer service, because the writers could write anything, because they knew that these were these books that they were given, and they could do whatever they wanted with.
Mm-hmm.
And and dang it, I want to see more Super Soldier and more Bruce Wayne Agent of Shield, because I that was so much more logical for Bruce Wayne if he wants to end the crime rather than becoming a Batman with just privatizing the police force. That just
Mm-hmm.
be, wouldn't that just be so much smarter? Just totally OCP the Gotham City Police. OCP Omni Consumer Product. Take over, buy up Detroit, take over the police department, install RoboCops. It's series installing Bat Cops. Or just people that he has selected, he can trust to run the Gotham PD and bust head, right? Which is what Batman does, because he's Batman.
Whoa.
Well, this is what he does. I mean, he does.
Yeah.
Who can hear him? Batman is not good if you want to live in a free society. You do not want to live in a free society with billionaires taking the law into their own hands. Yeah, I remember there was a meme on Facebook the other day where someone says, how does it is very someone the man was like, it's very disappointing to me that there's 623 billionaires in the United States and not one has decided to be Batman.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and I responded to that. I said, yeah, but do we really want one of the Koch brothers being Batman?
Uh,
Oh, if I even want Bill Gates being Batman. I don't know
yeah.
if these people are really the guys that I'm going to trust with my Batmaning. And
Mm-hmm.
it brings home the reality is, why do we trust Bruce Wayne with this? What has he ever given us to make us believe that Bruce Wayne is trustworthy with Batman's authority that he's been given? I don't like that Batman. He's a menace, I tell. Get me pictures of Batman.
Listen to this Marvel fan going off on Batman.
He hates. Spider-Man there would never be a spider signal actually there was a spider signal at the mayor's house, and then
What? I know he wore one on his belt, but on the mayor's house.
no, in Superior Spider-Man, because it's all into the new Superior, and he puts up the spider signal, and to shine the light up to call Spider-Man, and of course Otto comes and destroys it. Says, because I knew it's a test of yours, because obviously I wouldn't want to let all of my enemies know exactly where and when to meet me. And then he says, I'll give you a phone to call me. Which of course they knew back in 1968 that signal, dumb idea. That phone, pretty good idea. That way no one knows where the Batman is or where the Batman's going to be. So, genius, the writers of the 1968 Batman. That's all I'm saying. Actually, I think they just didn't want to have to do all the shooting at night that nighttime Batman requires. This is a Marvel podcast, right?
I guess so. Yeah.
See, well, that's what happens when you get into amalgam. But anyway, and I am completely off the rails this week. Oh, get me back on the rails, Phil. What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. How about Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
in the MCU?
Well, Spider-Man's in the MCU. Oh yeah, have we not talked? I don't think we've talked about that yet.
No, I don't think we've had a show since then.
But here's the thing. This is and actually I really wanted to talk about this. Thank you, Phil. I knew you could bring me back to thank you for getting me out of the DC.
You're welcome.
So here's the thing, okay? Because I've been trying to work this out in my head on what exactly is happening, and here's essentially what Marvel. Here's the essentials of the deal Marvel did with Sony. Marvel is taking over Spider-Man, and although it's officially on a trial basis, Marvel's going to make the move. The next Marvel's going to co-produce the next movie, really run the next movie. Marvel's going to bring Spider-Man into the MCU, and the MCU characters get to go into the Spider-Man movies. But Sony puts up all the money, gets most of the profits, but Marvel still gets all the T-shirt sales, all the merchandise sales. Because Marvel still has the whole line on that. And as we've said before, that's where the real money is. The real money is in the T-shirt sales. The real money is in all the ancillary products that you sell after you make the movie. That's what Disney wants, because Disney is less about movies as it is in the business of selling toys and games and accessories for people who like Disney characters and now Marvel and Star Wars characters. And so from Disney's point of view, they're making, they get to control the character. Although officially Sony has final say, Sony's not going to mess with formula. Sony is smart enough to know, let Marvel do this because they're doing it right. And so Disney gets what they want. Sony gets what they want, which is more movies and good movies that make money for them. They get to be part of the MCU. The fans get what they want. And what it really suggests to me is that this could be the trial balloon for everyone else coming back. Because basically, if this works out good for Sony, good for Marvel, I can see Sony going to Fox and say, look, why don't you guys come home? You're having trouble with your franchises because you don't have a lot of room to expand them because you don't have all the characters. You don't know where to go with your X-Men. Your origins are, not as good as your other films, let's be honest. And let's be clear here, Hugh Jackman isn't getting any younger. And I really feel that if Spider-Man works, they're going to make the same deal with Fox. And maybe a similar deal with Universal and the Hulk, where they're going to let Universal put up the money and Marvel's going to make that Hulk film. That Universal will put up the money for the Hulk film. The Hulk will be out there and you're going to have this real symbiotic relationship between everybody there. You're going to have Sony and Universal and Fox and Disney all putting basically everyone's going to put money in. They're all going to give Disney the money and then Disney's going to make the money and then Disney's going to cash in on the ancillary. And that is genius when you think about it. If that's how this works out and we get that truly connected MCU movies, everything, that is going to be amazing. And that, I think, is where this is going. I think Spider-Man's a trial balloon, and I think Spider-Man worked out great because, of course, Sony didn't know where they were going. They knew they were screwing it up. And here's Disney going to rescue them creatively and allow them to make money on this again. And Disney gets Spider-Man back in their universe, allows them to put Spider-Man on their products for their movies and tie it all together. We can get Venom in a future Guardian of the Galaxy film. We can actually get the symbiote in the Guardians of the Galaxy film. Think about that for a moment. What else is in the collector's workshop, You
could get a decent origin for the symbiote.
Yeah, exactly. Heck, you could actually do Secret Wars.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Imagine that. We could do a Secret Wars movie with Disney, Fox, and Sony all putting up money, putting all the characters on Battle World, and everybody going nuts. That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, and that, I think, is where we're going. That is where I think this is all headed towards. I think that's what Marvel wants because, okay, like I said, the real, this is the thing I always said about this, why, and actually, in respect, my last SuperConnectivity blog post that never got posted was why Spider-Man would never be in the MCU. Yeah, I never got posted because basically I lost my computer right after that, and I only just recently got the posting back, but I never actually finished editing it to repost it. Now I'm glad, although who knows, maybe I'll edit it now and post it again. But it strikes me that this was what the crux of it was the whole point of it was Marvel doesn't need to make a Spider-Man movie to make money on Spider-Man because Marvel was already making money on Spider-Man every time someone else made a Spider-Man movie, and in fact, that was basically it, is that, they made money on every piece of Andrew Garfield merchandise that sold, and they didn't have to put up the $200 million ad campaign for the Andrew Garfield toys, because they're just licensing the toys. So they're getting their cut of that, and they don't have to take the risk of making the movie. And that's exactly where Marvel is now. Now, Marvel doesn't have to take the risk of making the movie, but they still get their cut of the merchandise, and they get to have the creative authority over the character. And that's what they want, because that's what Disney likes. They like to market their characters and have that creative control over it. So this is, and it's amazing because the lawyers at Disney obviously figured out a way to give Sony everything they wanted, to give Marvel everything they wanted, and Sony's still on the hook for all the money. Sony still has to put the money out there and take all the risk, and Disney gets all the reward. It's a perfect situation for Disney. And
I say it's not like a win-win.
yeah, and of course it helps Sony because now they don't have to worry about making bad Spider-Man movies anymore because now Marvel's their movies for them. And
Yeah.
you know what's sorry, I'm dying here in my throat, but
Well, we can wrap up if you want. Don't.
Yeah, okay. So you know what?
Voice.
That is our rants for this week. Amalgam, bring back amalgam. So that's our goal for next week. Next story I want to hear is how Warner's and Disney have made the deal to bring the amalgam universe to the silver screen. Okay, that's the connection I want to see next. What's your fantasy project, Phil?
I just want to see them all back in the MCU. Spider-Man, Fantastic Four, X-Men.
Well, it's
like you were saying, Secret Wars.
Yeah, it's coming soon. Mark my words. Okay, so that has been SuperConnectivity for this week. I hope you all have enjoyed it. I know I have enjoyed screaming my head off about it. I am, as always, the chiseled Charlie Esser. You can call me Charlie Esser on Twitter. You can write me at superconnectivityblog at gmail.com. And you can always friend me on Facebook. I'm Charlie Esser. You'll know it's me because I'm in black and white with an eye patch, and I say the dog. It was the dog who took my eye. Very sad. So where are you?
I am. Well, you can email me at nightwingpdp@gmail.com, and I'm on Twitter at nightwingpdp.
Beautiful. And we will connect with you all again next week.